videos are notorious for getting one view and that's it. But they mean more to me than any of the reels that I've done recently, or shorts or whatever, that have gotten 1,000 or 2,000 views. So I'm going to keep doing this. Maybe it'll pick up. I mean, people have got more traction for less. Pretty much saying some of the same things. I'm just not coming at it all, you need to be healthy. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't really have the energy to do that. But speaking of being healthy, you know, want to talk about eating, because it's like working out or doing anything physical, that's where it's like hard for me because of time. You know, I got a family, you know, that can take some time away from it. You know, and going to the gym that we used to go to ended up costing like $100 a month, just for only one of us, you know, being able to go, really. And not often. It just wasn't worth it. So I have some stuff to work out at home, and I planned to last night, and that's a great example. The way things ended up, you know, working out, I wasn't able to start working on dinner for me and the missus until freaking like 8:20 at night. And I had to go to the store and grab some dressing for the dinner I was making, because we were out. I planned on having dinner done by 8 o'clock and spending an hour, you know, in exercise. Just did not happen. Because I do want to, you know, I want to get stronger. I don't just want to lose weight, I want to get stronger functionally. I have like a bunch of logs from some trees I cut down last year or the year before, whatever. Because, you know, our land was a little rowdy, and we would burn those logs for sure. But I told my wife that I wanted to cut them with an axe. I didn't want to cut them with the saw. I have not done that yet. But all that to say, you know, I want functional strength, but that can be hard to allot time for. But what's not that hard to allot time for is like eating. Now, I already eat a pretty clean diet. Single ingredient foods for the most part. Every once in a while we have like a little splurge. It's them, you know, the real small pizzas is where it's at for me. But in all reality, when it comes to the meals, whether it's a splurge meal or not, we keep it pretty low key, you know? Seasoning is where the flavor comes from. Everything else is just single ingredients, man. Even hamburgers, minus the bun, obviously. It's single ingredients, and it's good. But what gets me ain't even the sweets anymore. I don't eat candy. I don't go out of my way to get ice cream. I think about it sometimes, but I don't go out of my way to get ice cream. It's the snacks, man. It's the freaking snacks. I got no self-control. I get a bag of Doritos. It's not even on purpose. I just, I'll eat with lunch. If I'm having a sandwich, I'll eat them with lunch. And I'll look down, and I'm not talking like a little bag. I'm talking a normal bag, or worse, a party-sized bag. I only got like a quarter of the bag left by the time I'm done. I don't mean like, half the bag's full of air. I ate half of the bag and I've got a quarter left. I mean a quarter of the contents of the Doritos that were in there, not including the air. And I feel nasty. And I do the same thing when we get Oreos. I have trouble not eating a whole sleeve at once. If I got freaking just a regular sized bag of Lay's, they're done in the night. I don't know what to do. And see, I grew up, with people talking about like MSGs and GMOs and things like that. But like, I've been telling everybody when I'm talking about like, these snacks, it's that salt. It's the crunchy texture, but it's the salt. Because there are other crunchy things I could eat. Like carrots are crunchy. There's a fly in here. Like dried crispy apples are crunchy. Even baked homemade potato chips are crunchy. But there's something about the salt, and I was like, MSG stands for monosodium glutamate, and I don't really know what in the hell a glutamate is, but there's sodium in that. I was like, sodium is in salt. And so now I'm thinking maybe it's not salt that like I'm sitting here tasting and craving, and that I can't find something that matches that flavor profile when it comes to the chips or even fried food. I have trouble with that too sometimes, just craving it. Maybe it's not salt. Maybe that's just what MSGs taste like. And maybe there's a little bit of value to that. I don't know. Nothing I ever say is backed by any science. Sometimes I'm smart enough to like have some science that I understand that I will have as like a reasoning, but I also fully understand and put a disclaimer that I don't know anything. I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything at all. But like, fruit has cured my sweet tooth. Now freaking raspberries, dude. Raspberries are my candy. Every day I'm putting like a handful of blueberries, some strawberries, and then like a handful of blackberries and raspberries in a bowl. And that's what I'm having for breakfast. And it's awesome. Because I'm thinking about, just how fresh it feels. It's like eating the feeling you have when it's a nice, cool breeze in a tropical area. That's what eating that tastes like. I want to eat more fruit. I ate like bananas and apples and stuff like growing up, but I didn't really like blueberries for some reason. I still like the texture, like messes with me sometimes. But like, I want to eat more stuff that I didn't eat growing up when it comes to fruit. I want to have like kiwis. I want to know what star fruit and dragon fruit tastes like. don't know anything about that. I want more pineapple, man. I freaking love pineapple. I'm just not patient. Everything I see isn't ripe yet. I don't wanna grab it and wait for however long to get it ripe. I just rather go to the store one day and be like, that one's ripe, I'll cut it tonight, you know? Dude, I want to eat coconut. I want to buy some coconut. I wish there were coconuts in season right now. I'd eat that up. And that's the thing, you know, a lot of people really obsessively count calories. I'm going to try to keep this to a minimum. And it's good to know, like, how much you should be eating. Like, for my body type and age, I should be eating, and for the work that I do, I should be eating somewhere between 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. And you think it's a little bit less, but because of some of the physicality of the work that I do, it's not much, but it's enough to bump that up. You know, it sits in that range. So in all reality, eating 2,000 calories of food is enough to put me in a deficit. And that's the thing, if you want to lose a little bit of weight, you got to be in a deficit. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. But like, when you know kind of what's in the food that you eat versus what you should be taking in, you don't really gotta count like as much. You just know to pace yourself, you know, be a little bit intuitive. You know, if you're like starving after you've had one portion of every meal per day, have a snack or another portion of one of the meals, you know? Like, if you're like really, really uncomfortable, some amount of like craving, that's one thing. I'm talking like you're seeing stars, because I've done that and then just been like, well, I guess I'll ignore this. That's a dumb idea. If you kind of know, like I said, my diet's pretty stacked. You know, it's single ingredient foods, and it's pretty affordable, pretty low cost. If you're already there and you kind of know what's in it, you get a good idea of what the combination of the ingredients that you have adds up to be. Yeah, you may not know if it's exactly like 317 calories when everything's added up, but you've got a good idea if your pasta salad's, you know, 400 calories a serving or, you know, 1,500. You kind of know once you know the numbers. So you know, like, I probably shouldn't have a second serving, or yeah, I can probably stand to have that today. And then when your breakfast is just freaking fruit, that already puts you in a deficit, because fruit doesn't add up to anything calorie-wise. Nothing, man. In the app that I was using to count calories, I was supposed to have like a freaking like 500 calorie breakfast. And my breakfast is fruit, like I ain't even touching that. Boom, deficit already. I eat my lunch, even if the servings I made for my lunch are 1,000 calories. I'm already like, my dinners on average were only ever like 500 to 800 a piece. And right there's room. If you're full from that, there's room for a soda if you want to, a beer if you're into that. You know, if you like shots. Or, you know, a nice glass of whatever. You know, if you're not getting freaking wasted every night, even just a couple drinks. I know that's kind of like a hot topic for being healthy, but like, if you want to have a couple drinks, if you're not in excess, if you're not just like blowing yourself up, it's never safe, but it ain't gonna freaking destroy you, and it's not going to put you into a surplus. You know, the fruit I eat's even 200 calories, which it's not. And the lunch I eat's even 800 calories. That's 1,000. Dinner I eat, it's probably going to be another 800 or 1,000. We'll say 800, just like lunch. That's 1,800. Right there, the sodas that I like, it's 110 calories in the one soda. And then, you know, if it's my favorite shot, it's like a 90 calorie thing. Or, you know, freaking, I think it's Modelo. No, Corona Light is 90 calories. Right there, that's a 2,000 calorie day with, you know, something to take the edge off. Yeah, you can even have a soda at the, you know, in the middle of the day, and you can have freaking, you know, a beer at the end of the day if you want, and you're still at 2,000 calories, which is already in a deficit for my body type. Boom. Only thing I gave up was just having like a bread sandwich for breakfast, pretty much, and like eating snacks and candy all day. It's not hard, but it's you gotta have a little bit of discipline. And that's, you know, ultimately the whole point of this video is to say, like, I've been liking more fruit and I've been eating more fruit, but like that's the benefit of that. I'm getting hungry now. I'm gonna eat like a bunch of fruit, and I brought like a banana and orange and a freaking avocado. That right there, that'll keep me like pretty satiated till lunch, and that really doesn't add up to a lot at all. So I don't know, man. They say being better is a choice, like, you know, it's your fault if you're not better, but it's more like, you know, you got little choices that you can make that like just kind of help you feel better. So, you know, make the choices that help you feel better. If you try the raspberries and you find out you like them like candy, freaking eat them like candy. It's probably better for you. Like, it doesn't really fix the whole sweet tooth thing, but it's at least you're eating something that's better for you at a rate that's, you know, that kind of obsessive. At least there's that.